Hi everyone, you're very welcome back to the show. So, the race reaction for the Russian Grand Prix 2021. What an amazing race. Wow, what a race. That was absolutely stunning. I enjoyed that very, very much, I have to say. We had a little bit of everything. We had a little bit of crashes between teammates, even if you want to go to Stroll and Vettel. We had a wet race in the end, started out dry. We had a McLaren leading the race. We had drama. We had the leader lose first place in the last couple of laps of the race. And then we had Lewis Hamilton winning his 100th race. Where to start? Well, let's start at the very start. It was actually a very good getaway for Carlos Sainz at the beginning of the race, and it was himself and Norris that were primarily battling each other at the very, very start. And that was a really good battle, and that battle actually was supplemented then by Ricciardo versus Hamilton. Hamilton had a tentative start. He definitely played the safe game, recognizing that he was starting off towards the front of the grid in fourth place, I think, whereas by comparison Verstappen was starting in 20th place, and Verstappen of course had Valtteri Bottas to deal with. Valtteri Bottas was starting in 16th place, so he was going to act as the rear gunner almost for the Mercedes team, and he was going to block any forward movement by Verstappen, or at least theoretically I believe that was the plan. In reality, it didn't work out that way. Verstappen actually made very easy work of getting past Bottas, and Bottas really, you couldn't see inside his helmet, obviously, but it really didn't seem like he cared. And when he was interviewed afterwards, he wasn't bothered, and I guess he doesn't care. In all honesty, he doesn't care. Why would he care? It was not a good move of the Mercedes team to put him back there. He's had more than enough engines for this year, so I think he's absolutely covered on the engine category. So coming back to the battle at the front, Norris did manage to get by Sainz, and Norris was very good for the lead, I have to say. He held onto it very well. He made a gap when he got in front. And then Ricciardo and Hamilton once again struggling to get by the McLaren, which is actually kind of frustrating because it does make you wonder if Hamilton would have ever been able to get past Norris at the end of the race if we didn't have the rainy conditions. So that, who knows, ifs and buts, as I always say in Formula 1. You can't tell the way these things would turn out. So that elusive first win goes begging for Lando Norris, but I feel it's not that far away. He's been far superior to his teammate for the majority of this season. So if Ricciardo can win a race, no doubt Norris can win a race as well. And in particular, if Mercedes and Red Bull trip over each other, Verstappen and Hamilton, just like they did back in Monza and in the British Grand Prix, then there's a very real possibility that McLaren could be winning a couple of more races. Because I tell you one thing, Bottas and Perez don't look like they're going to be winning anything. They're just not there. They're not in it. You can understand Bottas not having the motivation. I'm sure he'll come back better and stronger next season for Alfa Romeo, albeit with an inferior car, so he won't be battling from for the front unless the regulations go very nicely for Alfa Romeo. But that's kind of the way it's going to be set up. So Perez, on the other hand, has just received a new contract, so just before the Belgian Grand Prix, I think, so Spa-Francorchamps, and he has never performed worse, you would say. He's really not there. He's not at the races. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So let's have a look here at the finishing order. For the Grand Prix. Hamilton came home in first place, and he did it in dramatic fashion after the rain came down at the very end of the race. He made the right call. He actually made the right call. It was exactly the right time to come in for those intermediate tyres. There was a little bit of speculation that the Mercedes would come in one lap earlier, but Hamilton took the decision to stay out a little bit longer, and it worked very much in his favour. He had like 53 seconds was his gap to second place in the end of the race, so it really did work very, very well for him. Lando Norris, by comparison, ended up finishing 7th. Oh my goodness, 7th. Devastated. I think I'm still devastated about that. Everybody's devastated. The internet went into a meltdown as well. This was really, really bad. So Norris finished up in 7th. He was leading the race until about 3-4 laps before the end of the race. And just didn't work for him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. He made the call that he was going to stay out on the slick tyres, and it was the wrong call. Let's call a spade a spade. It was the wrong call. Now, there was a lot of talk that the team was involved in the decision, but clearly the team advised him to come in. But Norris needs to learn about these things. It's a part of the maturing as a driver, and this will come with experience. This will probably be a great experience for him because he'll have learned so much from this. I'm not trying to sound condescending. You can see the way it goes. If you think back to 2011, the Canadian Grand Prix, the experience that Jenson Button had, he knew exactly at the right moment when to change to those wet weather or intermediate tires, and he went ahead and did it, and it was spectacular. He dropped down to last place in that race at one stage and came back and won it, so it was really, really amazing. So I dare say Norris is going to learn a lot from that. Verstappen came home in 2nd place. Verstappen, he had a really good race. Actually, he made his way through the field. It was all very good, very competitive. He did reach one point in the race just before the rainfall where it looked like he just wouldn't be able to go any further. His tyres had kind of run out of momentum, and that was that. He was going to come home in 7th place, I think it was. But the rain greatly helped, and he showed that he is a very good driver in the rain. If he was any closer to Hamilton, he may have given him something to think about. But in the end, we didn't get to see that battle on track between the pair of them, probably for the best. We'll save that one for another day. But as far as damage limitation goes, an amazing result for Max Verstappen. Really, really good. So 2nd place for him. In 3rd place, Carlos Sainz. He did manage to salvage something. He came home in 3rd. I know he'll probably be disappointed because he'll have felt he could have done better. It looked like he had the upper hand when they went for the initial pit stops. The undercut seemed to have worked very, very well. Certainly it did for Lance Stroll. But in the end, he just pitted too early and he lost the momentum on his tyres as well. He just didn't have that traction any longer. But the rain, helped him out as well. So there you go. Ricciardo finished in 4th. Once again, another driver who was helped ever so slightly by the rain. And of course, the bad decision by his teammate, and that propelled him up a couple of places. He was running quite well in the race, I think in around 6th place before the rainfall came down. So that was good for him. Ricciardo, Bottas somehow managed to finish in the points. He finished in 5th. It really didn't look like he was going to finish in the points before the rain. I thought was a lackluster, disappointing display from him overall, and he just looked into that top 10 position. He is kind of a master on this circuit. On the Sochi circuit, this is Bottas's favourite circuit, and you could tell he had mentally checked out because he just wasn't at the races either. Alonso came home in 6th. Alonso was disappointed with that. He saw an opportunity for a better result there. I'm sure Alonso will get that better result at some stage, and I'm sure it must hurt him a little bit to see that Ocon did win at the Hungarian Grand Prix as well. Norris came home in 7th, as we discussed. Then we had Kimi Räikkönen, who came home for 8th. For Alfa Romeo, a really good result for them. Some valuable points for the team as well, and very, very nice going before he retires at the end of the season. Next up, we had Perez in 9th place. I'm not really going to go into that. It's just not good enough. He was not any support whatsoever for the Red Bull team this weekend. I like Perez, but I'm getting more and more downbeat about his performances and his ability to actually play the team game and add that extra layer of intrigue and excitement and strategy that we need at these races between Mercedes and Red Bull. And then the final points position goes to George Russell, 10th place for Williams. Once again, more points for George Russell, and he's proving himself. He's really going to be a talent for the future. And I worry for Lewis Hamilton with George Russell going into the Mercedes next year. Hopefully they'll be allowed to race, but I think he's going to put it up to Lewis Hamilton in a way that Nico Rosberg possibly did. It's all ahead of us. Hopefully we have a very exciting 2022 season as well. So they were the top points finishers. In 11th place we had Lance Stroll, 12th we had Sebastian Vettel. Both of those cars came together at one point during the race. I'm sure there will be a difficult conversation that needs to be had within the Alfa Romeo, within the... Oh gosh, I was going to call them Jaguar because they're green. They're not Jaguar either, the Aston Martin team. Yeah, I think James Bond. Pierre Gasly came home in 13th. He'll be disappointed with that. He had a little bit of action during the race as well, where he got spun around on one occasion. I think it was courtesy of Stroll. Ocon came home in 14th. Leclerc 15th. Giovinazzi 16th. Tsunoda 17th. Once again, another very disappointing result from Tsunoda. Mazepin came home in 18th and not last place at his home race. Latifi was in 19th, and Schumacher didn't finish. He was the only car that didn't finish the race, so he obviously came in last place. Alright, so let's finish up by talking about the man of the moment, Lewis Hamilton. 100 race wins. 100. It's a crazy number. It's an unbelievable number when you think back to Michael Schumacher getting 91 race wins. Was it ever going to be beaten? Lewis Hamilton has done it. Of course, he's had a very dominant Mercedes car, which is a large factor of that. But Lewis Hamilton himself is also a very, very fast driver, and I've always said that. So congratulations to Lewis Hamilton on reaching that century, that 100 landmark, and no doubt he's going to add a few more races onto that tally as well. So Lewis had somewhat challenging weekend, I would say, across Saturday and Sunday. When you factor in qualifying and the race, of course, we had no FP3 on Saturday. That was cancelled because of the rain conditions. Something I know very well about living in Ireland. Anyhow, I diverge. Yes, so Lewis struggled somewhat during qualifying. In particular, we saw that incident. I don't know if it was purely a mistake, if it was a slippery surface, what it was, or if he felt the pressure. And of course, Max Verstappen wasn't in the mix for qualifying, so it's possible that it was just some kind of mistake from Hamilton. And he hit the wall just in Q3 on the way into the pits, so quite an unusual move. And had to have his front wing replaced as a result of that. Definitely not what the doctor ordered on that occasion. However, he did hold on to 4th place. It did allow us as well to celebrate a fantastic pole position from Lando Norris, and George Russell actually managed to get in 3rd place as well. So that was good. And then when we got onto the race itself, it was an okay start. He stayed out of trouble, and he knew he had to not crash with Verstappen starting at the back of the grid. So Lewis went about his business. He really struggled to try and get past Daniel Ricciardo, but as soon as he had some free air, courtesy of the pit stops, he really made his speed count. He got as close as he could to Lando Norris before he eventually decided to pit for the intermediate tyres, and that subsequently was the best move he made in the entire race. Lewis Hamilton, another very strong driver in wet weather. I think between himself and Verstappen, they really came to the fore during that part of the race, and no surprise you saw Lewis Hamilton finishing, 54 seconds ahead of 2nd place, which was Max Verstappen, although Max Verstappen was some distance behind. I think if they had started at an even keel with the wet weather tyres, it could have been a different outcome. But look, Lewis stayed cool, he stayed calm, he stayed collected, all the usual superlatives you want to use in this situation, and he went on to win his 100th race. And when he crossed the line, you were like, was it ever really in doubt? He was going to get there. I think there was this barrier in his mind that he needed to get across, and it all worked out very, very well for him on Sunday, despite the struggles he had at one stage trying to get past Ricciardo. And would he have gotten past Norris in dry weather conditions? I don't know, and we'll never find out. But that's it, his 100th win. So congrats again to Lewis Hamilton. And he's the record holder. As we all know, he was the record holder before this as well, let's not forget that. But now he has triple digits, 100 race wins. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. I would like to ask you, please hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to be notified of future videos, you can hit that bell. Thanks for joining us. Speak to you soon.